I didn't put the gummy stuff in the right place, so it's kind of off center. We can handle this. Hi there, it's Christy with the Chirp YouTube channel. Well, I had an excellent question the other day about how to help kids with special needs, specifically those with autism, better navigate this whole learning from home business, which is really, really tricky for even kids without any additional challenges, and for our kids who have sensory differences, communication delays, self-regulation difficulties. It's bound to be even more difficult, and therefore it's bound to be even more difficult for their families. I have 5 simple ideas for you today that, while not groundbreaking, are something to sort of think through as you are trying to help your kids. Now, given I know that school is almost over in some places, where I live, Arizona, school is ending within the next couple of weeks, and so this won't be as much of an issue anymore. I don't know how it's going to go in the fall. It's possible there will still be some distancing protocols in place. We just don't know. So I don't think it could hurt us to think about this issue, even if school is coming to an end soon. Also, you may wish to consider doing some teaching at home, even though it may be summer. Sometimes that can help sort of break up the long days of being at home with your kids. Here in Arizona, it's already very hot. It's 104 or 5 right now outside, and it isn't very easy to get outside with kids and do outside sort of fun activities. And so being at home, these may be some things to think through as you structure your days. My first tip is to use visuals. Those of you who have watched this channel before know that I recommend using visuals all the time, in every circumstance. It works for kids with developmental delays or disorders. It works for typical kids. I brought some visuals with me today. Let me see. Maybe the first thing that we do in the morning is, they're all stuck together. Oh, and of course, they're in backwards order, just to make this the most convenient. Maybe the first thing we're going to do today is we're going to say hello to our family members. Good morning. These are actually from my classroom, so they are classroom related things, but you want to do a similar thing in your home as would be done in your child's classroom, because it helps consistency and it helps the kids to know what to expect. The statistics say that visual schedules can decrease challenging behavior by 80%. That is great. Then we're only left with 20%, and 80% of those challenging behaviors are gone. So I'm going to put a little schedule for us up on my bookshelf. First we say hello or good morning. Then this says snack, but you get the idea. Next, we're going to have some food. All right, after we've said good morning, after we've had some food, we're gonna have a playtime. Let me find my plate. Here it is. And by the way, I printed these out from a program called Boardmaker. I have the software version, but you can use an online version and you can print these out yourself. However, if you would like a non-costing version, I mean, I guess it still costs something, but I really like when I take pictures of the kids doing these things. So instead of having this random drawing of a child playing with toys that says play, I would take a picture of my child playing with toys, and then I would write play on it, and I would glue it on some cardstock and maybe on some construction paper in the background, and then I would laminate it. I have a very inexpensive laminator that I've had for probably almost 20 years, still going strong, and I love to laminate stuff because it just lasts so much longer. Now this one doesn't seem to have any sticky stuff on it, so I'm going to cannibalize this other one. Now I'm going to put play next in our schedule. Oh dear. I didn't put the gummy stuff in the right place, so it's kind of off center. We can handle this. Oh no, maybe we can't handle this. Okay, I think I got them all sticking up there for the moment. We don't want to make this last very long. It's hot in my house and the sticky stuff doesn't work as well when it's hot. Also, it's really old. I think I've probably been reusing it for probably about 15 years. The same sticky stuff. Anyway, you get the idea. We have a time where we sing. We have a time where we do art. That may or may not be part of your child's online school. So if it isn't, we'll talk about that in the next step. If it isn't, you want to make that part of your child's experience every day. There's going to be a story time. You might want to make this story with teacher or work with teacher or something like that. Oh, we want to do a cleanup time after the play time. I'll see if I can make that stick. No, I can't, but you get the idea. We probably want to have a few of these throughout the day. Although if you're at home and you haven't been outside, it's not quite as much of a big deal. After you eat, you might also want to have a clean the table or put dishes in sink and dishwasher, something like that. Okay, so that's number one, which is use visuals. And number two, which is use a visual schedule. Tip number one, use visuals. I'm going to say that includes communication book. And tip number two is use a visual schedule. Visual schedules, they will decrease your problem behaviors and they will enable you to have a smoother day because your child knows exactly what to expect and so do you. It helps everyone, helps us all stay on task. Another form of visuals that you should be using is a communication book. Depending on the level of your kids, you may or may not have these things on the front, but a communication book usually has these visuals inside, and the child gets to choose what he or she wants from the visuals in the book. If your child is just at the very beginning stage, there's only one thing in the book. Rocket balloons. That's the only thing. If I know my kid wants rocket balloons, I put that in there, I help her pick it, and I help her put it in my hand, and then we play rocket balloons together. I have a whole series on communication books, and I plan to reboot that series, update it, and make it fancier because the other version is a few years old, and you know, it might be nice to have a new one since a lot of my subscribers are new and probably haven't seen the old one. When you are setting your visual schedule, some of that is going to really be dictated by how your household runs, by what the requirements of your child's school are, but some of it really needs to be dictated by your child's abilities. For example, I recommend that you alternate easy and difficult tasks. Playtime is easy. Working with teacher on the computer via Zoom or whatever platform you're using is not easy. It's boring and it's hard for the kids to get engaged. So we want to alternate those tasks so that it's easier for the child because I might be doing a hard thing now, but next I get to do something exciting or at least easy for me. So you want to make sure that you adjust for that when you're putting up the schedule so that your child can see this is working with teacher on the computer. I don't like that, but next I'll get to play with the rocket balloons and that's one of my favorite things. Or next is my art time and I'm really good at art, so I will feel some level of success with that. Tip number 3 is to make sure to pay attention to your child's sensory needs. a lot of the behaviors we see are because kids aren't getting their sensory needs met. If one of my needs is to wiggle, if I need to jump, if I need to be squeezed or to have a tight feeling on my skin, those needs are not going to be getting met while I'm sitting at a computer trying to engage with my teacher from school. It's very difficult for kids to engage with somebody on a computer at all, so we need to make it as easy as possible. If you know your child's sensory needs, I did a whole series. I will put a link up in this area somewhere so that you can watch that series, but it will teach you how to recognize the sensory needs you might not have noticed and some ways that you can meet those. I talk a lot about a thing called a sensory diet, which has nothing to do with food. It's about making sure that kids get a steady stream of the same kind of sensory input that helps them to stay calm and regulated. And usually we'll spread that input out throughout the day, and we call those sensory meals. So you want to make sure to have some sensory input that your child needs in the morning, maybe before breakfast or after breakfast, in around lunchtime, in the later afternoon, and then before bed. This works well to keep the child's sensory system functioning at peak performance, and it will help the kids' concentration, and it will help their ability to relate to other people, maybe even tune in to people online a little bit better. Number 4, I'm going to suggest personalized play breaks with you. And this is time when the kid gets to choose the activity and you participate in it with her. Maybe he walks over to the train and pulls it down, and you both sit down and you play together. I have a little series on how you can work on engagement and interpersonal skills while you're at home with your kids, which I'm going to link up there as well. I recommend checking that series out for some tips on how you can better relate to and engage your child, even if your child is kind of avoidant of people and interaction. My 5th tip is lower your expectations. This is, as far as we know, a temporary situation. Your child does not need to learn all of those things that we want him or her to learn in the next month or 2. The goal is that learning should continue for the rest of our lives. I certainly am still learning. I'm sure you are too. You are, if you are watching this video. Good job. I don't believe that your child is going to miss any humongous developmental steps, because she is having trouble learning from online sources. I don't believe your child is going to take huge steps backwards because he is having trouble learning in this very weird and uncomfortable time for all of us. Give yourself some grace. Relax a little bit, and don't be quite so concerned about what happens in the next month or 2 months or 3 months. Be more concerned about the long term, about the long haul. Start good habits relating to your child. All of the ways that you relate on an interpersonal basis, all the ways that you woo your child into interacting with you and into communicating with you in whatever way he or she is able. Those are the things that are going to impact your child the most, not whether she participates in an online story time with her teacher from her public school, not whether he pokes the red train or the green train on this online app. Those things are not important in the long haul. What's important are the interpersonal relationships. So keep that in mind, and I hope that you got some encouragement from this video and that it gives you some ideas to try to make your home schooling or home learning experience with your child a little bit easier and more pleasant. Don't hesitate to leave questions down below, and I hope that you have a wonderful week. Thank you for watching. Be well, stay safe, and get some joy out of this day. See you soon. Bye.